find the fish. Find the fish. Find the fish. I think we can all agree that finding the fish is the number one most important thing to consistently catching fish, right? Because regardless of if you have a $100,000 boat or all the nicest rods and reels and all the nicest tackle and a million slam shadies, you're not going to catch fish if you're in a dead zone. But the problem is so many of us don't have time to do the scouting and to be on the water every single day like a full-time guide. Well, don't worry. We have you covered. That is why we've come up with our smart fishing game plan. That's every single Friday morning. We put out a 10-minute video that literally shows you where to find the fish in your area. 10 minutes or less. That's all it takes. 10 minutes or less. We will get on satellite maps and actually show you the trends based on weather, based on the tides, and based on what's happening right now to help you go out there and consistently find the honey holes. It's free to all of our Salt Strong Insider members. That's our smart fishing game plan. So if you are a member, make sure to be checking out every Friday morning. We're coming up with a smart fishing game plan. If you're not a member, what the heck are you waiting on? This is just one more benefit on top of the 20 to 30% off all of our tackle, on top of all the how-tos and all the on-the-water reports and all the fishing reports we're putting up every single day, and the amazing community. You will now get the smart fishing game plan completely for free, part of your membership. Go to saltstrong.com to join us today. Here's the episode.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Fish on. Fish on like Donkey Kong. We're out here, a little windy day. Doing a little fish in the mangroves with a Slam Shady 2.0. I believe this is a snooky here. Yep. Little guy, but hey, we'll take it. Start off cold day. Whoa, watch out there, Luke. This guy's feisty. They get all fired up when it's a little bit chilly out. 2.0, owner twist lock hook, and Dr. Juice. I mean, does it just keep on working every single time? The answer is yes, it does. Hooked right there in the side of the, come on, bud. Man, this is what I needed that hook to do earlier. When I had that redfish follow me up, we were doing some sight casts along the other shore, and it was on the not windy side, glass calm. We could see everything, and they could see us. I had one come up, and I think as it was coming up, it could see us. Before I could even set the hook like a man, he was gone.
Nice.
He gone. Maybe just tuning in. What's that?
I was going to say, or you had a Nancy hook set and you still on it.
No, the world will never know. Either way, you didn't catch one, I didn't catch one. And I just caught one right there. So yeah, we're here just doing a little spring fishing. And in particular, we're talking about spring lures. We'll, depending on how it goes here the next 30 or so minutes, this is live. This is, our first, actually our first live on the water podcast this year in 2022 for various and sundry reasons. Some of it being weather related. We've had a couple times where we came out to film and it was just horrible weather, rain, wind, a million excuses. But we're doing this live, and we will probably switch up. Maybe try the Power Prawn USA, which is quickly becoming one of our members' favorite lures. And now made in USA, now 5 per pack, the same price of the 2. And those Helix hooks, those things are freaking awesome.
Yeah. So we came out of the Power Prawn USAs. They're like the Brazilian ones that we've had before. They're just easier to rig. They skip better. And we made these hooks specifically for them. They're called the Haas Helix hooks. And so right now we have the Power Prawn USA, the big one. It's the original, it's 4.3 inches. And then we have the junior coming out pretty soon, which is going to be 3.5 inches. And so the bigger one has the 4/0 hook, and the small one, the junior, has a 3/0 hook, the Haas hooks that we made for it. And I'm actually using the 3/0 hook with the Slam Shady 2.0. So it's similar to the owner, very similar to the owner. That just has a wider gap and a little bit thinner hook, where it's not quite as thick. So it's not like as beefy. So you don't want to use it for like big heavy tackle, but it just has better hookup ratio, given that it has a wider gap and the hook is a little bit thinner.
Yeah, that wider gap is nice.
So it's been cool. So right now we're basically the trend that we've been seeing is the fish have been pushed up closer to the trees. This is like a medium tide right now, and we really have kind of a slow tide, so not a lot of water movement. So we're using the wind to our advantage. We're fishing the windy side of the shorelines. Earlier we were sight fishing up on the calm side just so we can see the fish better. We both actually forgot our glasses when we came out, and so we did the calm water. The fish were super spooky. Joe had a really nice red follow his lure, ate it twice, and just wouldn't actually suck it down. So now we know the fish are going to be pretty lethargic. We know they're tight to this tree, so now we're just covering water. So I just totally buzzed across that cut. Now that we're getting almost within casting range, we're going to start slowing down and just dissecting this area.
Pretty deep right here.
Yeah.
He has not many boats out today. Saw a couple guides out, but for the most part, kind of a slower day. About 8:45-ish. Ooh, that wind.
But there were a ton of boats out over the weekend, so these fish are definitely on the more cautious realm. Spring break time.
Is that one up there? A shadow?
Worth a cast, but
I don't really see it moving.
So just knowing there's been a lot of people out, you just have to pretty much assume the fish are going to be
pretty awesome if it hits it in the tree.
Pretty spooky.
Nice save. Got it out, baby. Got it out. And I got some cool news with the, I'm using one of them right now. The new custom Salt Strong rod. The partnership teamed up with Mudhole. And it's finally happening. It's been a year and a half, and it feels like it's well over a year in the making. And we're now moving all of the rod production to America. How cool is that?
Yeah, even like the blanks are actually made there too. It's not just shipping in all the parts and assembling. That's obviously not everything can be made here, but all the highest end components are.
Yep.
And obviously the assembly, and pretty excited about that.
Yeah, creating some jobs here in America. And I mean, from what we've seen, every time we've done stuff in America, it has been better overall quality. You don't have as many of your units bad or defective. And that is one of the good things about this whole pandemic and supply chain issues and shipping issues, is it's kind of, in a good way, forcing a lot of these companies who were manufacturing in places like China to look here to good old USA and bringing it back, manufacturing, baby. So I'm pumped. And our whole goal with it, oh man, wind got me. Oh, there you go. This would be awesome if I get a fish right here. Our whole goal, this is like a legit like $400 rod. Like this will be very comparable and probably better than if you've ever used one of those high-end G Loomis rods, that are $400, or a really high-end St. Croix. It will look and feel and react and cast just like that. But we want, since we're cutting out, all the middlemen, we're not having to go through normal distribution like they do. Our goal is to give it to you members only, $100 off. And so, a $400 rod, we're hoping to get it in the high 200s, where you could now have a legit $400 rod And instantly, the day you either sign up for the club, or if you're already a current member, thank you, by the way, that you can justify the cost of membership plus some just from the rod purchase alone. That's our whole goal with it. And from the looks of it, we'll be able to do it, which is really, really cool. Even here, made in America. And a lot of it's just cutting down the middleman, let's just be honest. I mean, every time St. Croix or the G. Loomis has to sell to a Bass Pro or whatever, I mean, it's marked up another 50%. There's some, pretty high markups in some of these things every time it changes hands, if you will. And so we get to go direct to consumer and cut out some of that excess. So
that's something I didn't realize until we actually started getting in the industry and starting the tackle store, that pretty much every time somebody touches it, the price doubles, essentially. So that's kind of the easy way to think about it. And so you cut out one middleman, or two. In our case, we cut out all of them. That's just a lot of savings. And so we're going to be passing on to members is the premise. So I just one thing I never really thought much of, but it's surprising how much you can take out of the cost just by skipping over a step or two.
Yep. And so that'll be summer. We're still months away. And when you're doing this, you got to do it right, and just continue to demo, make sure it's 100% perfect. But come summer.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it too is that when you get a high-end rod, really with any rod, but especially if you're paying a lot of money for the rod, it really needs to be paired with a specific reel or a specific, at least, reel weight. And a big problem in the industry is that the rod manufacturers, they don't know exactly what reel is going to be on it, and they're actually incentivized, since the rods are going to be compared to other rods on the rod rack. They're incentivized to just make it as light as possible so that it feels better to the person in the store who's comparing the rods. And what that does is, in many cases, that'll take the rod out of balance when you actually pair it with a reel. So I've been testing out a bunch of rods, buying the high-end ones and the low-end ones, and a lot of my highest-end rods, the balance is really tip-heavy because they just did everything they could to take all the weight out, much of which is in the butt. And then when they do that, the butt is really light, so that when you actually pair it up with the reel, especially with these lightweight reels that are now coming out, where you can have some legit reels that are like 8-9 ounces, that'll almost always result in a tip-heavy rod. And so our rod is specifically designed for these higher-end lightweight reels, so that you can finally have a rod and reel setup that's balanced with these really light, 8 to 9.5 ounce reels. Even shorter. It's really, I guess, around 8 is kind of the midpoint that we focused on. Yep. And then even the rod spacing, the guide spacing was assuming like a 2500 size reel for this first rod that we're coming out with, where it's just fine tuned for these nice reels, these lightweight reels, and it's the ultimate. It is noticeable when you have an actual well balanced setup. So very happy about it.
I'll tell you what else I'm happy about is the fact that we went back and got our sunglasses.
Yeah,
sun is coming up now. Looking back at the camera, I'm like,
Yeah, so this is one of those days. We're on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and we have the tides where it's not like the Atlantic, where the tide's going up and down about the same amount. This is like a little miniature, so it's a little small blip. And then later on this afternoon is when there's a lot of water flow. So right now, we're gonna have to work for every bite. As you can see, I'm skipping over another little gap. We're going to hop over to this island.
And if you're listening, we're just hitting up these little mangrove islands. And as soon as we finish one, we're hauling boogie to the next one with a troll motor.
And there might be some trout out here in the middle, but for the most part, the reds and snook, they'll be holding up really close to the trees. So we're going to shoot over, hit this point up real quick. Points are always worth a cast or two.
Yep. Always hit the mangrove points, or any kind of points, anything that's irregular. It was funny when we were cruising early this morning, we were just kind of going by these mangrove lines, seeing what's out there, and all the redfish that we saw were all either around irregular points or irregular areas in the mangrove or with birds, or both. Remember, Luke, every time like, oh, there's a group of birds. Saw the white egrets. We saw some reds. Pretty cool.
Some very spooky reds.
Where did your Dr. Juice go, by the way?
Got some in my pocket.
Give me some of that, boy. Reload, the juice is loose. If you guys haven't tried any Dr. Juice, what the heck you waiting on? Oh, something just spooked out. As soon as I saw the Dr. Juice, it went crazy. Yeah, this stuff flat out works. It's amazing how many testimonials we've had coming in from this. Dr. Juice Saltwater Slam. All right, where to fish?
I'm seeing some things spook out.
Yeah, I saw one fish spook. Tell you, unrelated, kind of a cool story. Past weekend we went and canoed the old Peace River. And that was something we used to do in high school. And we saw this one group, and for those of you who do this and know about it, you probably, like, I can't believe you didn't know about it. And I heard about shark's teeth in the Peace River, but I didn't think it was something that you just found. I thought you had to go with like a guide or something that it was a little bit tougher. And we just happened to see this couple that had, you know, one of those, what do they call where they dig for gold?
Little sifters.
Sifters, like a little box sifter with a screen on the bottom. And started chatting up with them, and you have any luck? You're like, yeah, we already found a couple shark's teeth. It's like, cool. And so it was right where an old creek, you could see there's a little bit of water left in it. I mean, enough to get your toes wet. But this old dried up creek met the actual Peace River. And so we took the other side of it. They're up on the front side, and we took kind of the back side. And we didn't have any sifters, but my daughter had her net. She was in there trying to catch fish, meaning like a little dip net. And lo and behold, 30, 40 minutes later, we had 10, 12 shark's teeth. All just by taking that little net and scooping up little pebbles and then kind of sifting through it with our hands. It was so cool. But it made you wonder, I mean, people have been getting shark's teeth out of the Peace River for, who knows, 80 years, 100 years, I don't know. And the last time I checked, there's probably not any new sharks coming in there, right?
Can't imagine so. I mean, they've had to be super old, right? It's fossilized.
So that means, I mean, who can only imagine? And a lot of people are obviously taking them. And we took, 10, oh, what is that? Oh, that's a mullet right there. See him? School of mullet, that's a good sign. We took 10 teeth out of there. So, you wonder how crazy it was 50, 60, 70 years ago. Just the fact that these aren't being replenished like they are on, let's just say, Little Gasparilla Island or something like that. Pretty wild.
Yeah, I was down there over the weekend, and sure enough, there's still a good amount of shark's teeth down there. Not nearly as many as there used to be, but still there.
Yeah, that's a great place to find shark's teeth. So neat. But yeah, some of them, I mean, they didn't look like completely, it was almost like they were not that petrified, all black, but they had almost been preserved sitting there in the water. Maybe it was because they were going up against these little stones, but they still had like legit color to them. And people find those megalodon teeth there in the Peace River. If you guys don't know the Peace Rivers, look it up. I mean, just look up Zolfo Springs or Arcadia. It's...
That guy's coming in hot. No wakes on there,
bub. People don't like to follow the rules. And now he's mad that we're in his spot. That's the same guy as earlier, isn't it? We saw flying.
I believe it is.
In a no wake zone. Don't be that person. There's signs everywhere.
Yeah, if they know better.
Anyhow, megalodon teeth. Crazy to think that in a place like Arcadia or Zolfo Springs, that it used to all be underwater. And there's
a lot of reports of even snook being caught in Winter Haven. It's total Central Florida. They can follow that river up.
Yep. Yeah, but I'm guessing at some point it was more a whole lot more water on there. I mean, you can even see from the landscape how high the water was at some point there in the Peace River. It's wild. So neat. Anyhow, if you guys haven't done that and you're in Central Florida, definitely worth it. There's I think it's called the Canoe Outpost. It's like $15 a head all day long. And they provide the canoe, your paddles. You can obviously bring your own. That's what we used to do in high school. But it was nice with the family just to be able to show up, they put you on a bus, take you upriver, and then you float down and paddle down and have a blast. All right, Lucas switching up lures.
I'm going to the Power Prawn USA, rigging it weedless, and I'm skipping up under these trees.
That does look like it's probably going to be the best bet.
This thing has a knack for getting the bigger fish too.
Oh, nice skip.
Not.
If you're listening, Luke just had the worst skip cast in history. Sometimes you got to do a couple bad ones to get some good ones. That's better. I think I see it. Whoa. Well, I'm not going to get it like that.
Just when you
fish right back there. Do you see it?
That's what happens. You make fun of somebody's cast. You make one that's way worse. The next one.
That's debatable. Go back to the camera footage to. Oh, I was hoping that was going to be a snook. It was not. It was a log. Oh well. And also got a couple of other new lures. For those of you who are always wondering what we're working on next, we've got a couple molds in the mix. All I can tell you is swim bait. And that's all I can tell you. Oh, what else I could tell you is I knew I felt a little tap. That's what it looks like to get puffered.
It's called a puffer fish.
Stinking puffers.
Yeah, it's those things, no matter what soft plastic you're using, those puffers will go right through it. They're bad news.
Yeah, even the Z-Man material, they can bust through that stuff. So nasty.
Yeah, and so now that again these fish are going to be they're pretty lethargic. We know they're not going to be chasing down lures, and so we're having to go pretty slow, and we're just fishing tight to these mangroves. This is just a great high percentage way to go out there and just get fish, whether they're fishing mangroves or docks. Right, even when they're finicky, they're going to be holding your structure, and if you get a good looking lure right in front of their face, they're going to eat it. So right now it's just a numbers game, just casting every nook and cranny, and knowing that eventually we're going to get some.
What is a cranny, by the way?
A nook, a cranny.
Yeah. Joel, do you know? Joel doesn't know. Anyone know? What do you see?
It's a little cranny, a little cove, I don't know.
All right, Dr. Juice. Catch me something besides a puffer. All right, please, someone look up, because we're out here on the water, this is live. By the time we publish it, we'll probably know what a nook is and a cranny. Think it's just one and the same?
I don't know.
Where did the word come from? Where did it originate? Is it Greek?
Wikipedia.
Latin? French, perhaps? I could see them saying cranny.
Oh man, some snook just followed mine up.
Oh,
I was ripping it away from the...
Oh, there we go. Oh! Dang. That was not a puffer. First cast of that fresh Dr. Juice. Dang. That one hit pretty hard. I like those aggressive hits.
Yeah, the one I saw that was following me was just a little small guy, but it was interested.
I'm gonna go hit this point here. Whoop. Lots of mangroves as far as the eye can see. So how do you pick a good mangrove line, Luke?
Well, I mean, obviously looking at depth contours and now that we're getting closer to the spring, a lot of it's just finding the food. And that's a problem today. There's really not been a lot of signs of life on like the food realm. Like every time we've seen a sign, we've had some good results. There just really hasn't been much. Like looking around, like there's a pelican there. It's just sitting in the water. That's not a very good sign. Right? It's cool that there's a bird there, but it'd be a lot cooler if they were actually diving and actively feeding. It's just right now we're in a very low current stage, so everything's just kind of sitting and waiting for later in the day once the current starts moving and starts moving that food around. So this right now is like just everything's just kind of at not a standstill altogether, but it's just not the ideal time to be fishing. But sometimes you just got to go when you can go and make the best of it.
Yeah, I didn't even look to see what the strike score was.
I didn't either.
But
this is the only time we can go, so
yeah, I'm guessing it
couldn't have been good.
Great. And this time of day was definitely not the best time. But still proving to catch fish. Got one. Another strike. Luke had a follow-up. But I love this time of year. Still cool out in the morning. It was a little bit chillier today than I thought it would be. Still got our jackets on. Mosquitoes aren't out yet. What you looking for?
It's gonna go up in that little cut, but I wasn't seeing much there either, so we'll just keep on going down.
And part of it too, we're back in this area. We saw one of our members had some pretty good luck somewhere around here. And that part's pretty cool about the insider community is, everyone's posting their catches and what's working, and just a great way to learn the trends. And we use it as well. Find out what's happening, where the fish are. God, this area looks so good. But I've not seen as much as I'd like.
Yeah, I came back here at a really low tide, so there was a bunch of fish. And I think they were just kind of all, it's the fact that water was so low, I just found the deep zone, and they were right there, a bunch of them. And so I was like, oh man, there's a bunch of fish here. Now that the water's higher, they seem to be pretty spread out. Like I'm not seeing, just looking around, not seeing any zone that is an obvious choice. So we got to do it the old-fashioned way.
Yep.
Cast.
Cast until we find the 90-10. But so far, it's both times we've had strikes, and the fish have been around mangrove points.
Yep.
In irregular patterns. I'm gonna try to sneak it right in there. Oh yeah. Oh, come on. That deserved a strike. That deserved a strike. Yeah, so talk about what you're doing at Little Gasparilla. I saw the figure 8. It worked?
Yeah, it's called, formerly called swishing. And so what it is, this is fishing from, in my case, I was from a dock with a snook light, with one of those lights shining down the water, and a lot of snook on it. And I was just testing out the power prawn, these different shrimp lures. And what's been fascinating is that all like the lures that look really good in like the tackle stores where it has like every single leg is intact and it just looks super realistic. The actual glide in the water is just not natural, where those fish, even when they're actively feeding on shrimp, because there's some shrimp running, so you see a natural shrimp come through and they just get hammered. And throwing, pick on one was a live target, and there's multiple others too, but they have like, where it just looks like an identical shrimp, like it's an actual work of art. Like it actually really is impressive how realistic they make it. But just the glide in the water doesn't really resemble an actual shrimp, and the fish just don't react to it. They're not feeding on it. And then when I put one of these Power Prawn USAs, it's really designed for just a kind of a fishing glide where we don't have all those frills. They were smacking it. But what I realized is as the current was turning and the fish, like less shrimp, less bait fish was getting pushed through the light, the fish weren't as aggressive. And at that time, what actually got the strikes, and I'll show you here by the boat, it's called, I used to call it the figure 8 method, and saw in the comment feeds that it's called swishing. But I'd basically get about 8 inches of line out, and I was using this exact same setup with the Power Prawn USA with the Haas hook, and dip the rod in the water and just do these swishes like this, where it's literally making a bunch of racket. And it's shocking how, like, it didn't work every single time, but I caught multiple snook doing this. And you start doing it, and then a couple of them will come up, check it out, and then one will just get mad or whatever and come up and smack it. And so I'm literally hooking snook with just 8 inches of line from the rod tip. So pretty cool. And so when you're out there on a snook light, it's worth a shot, right? If it's not working the traditional way, give it a try. And it is shocking. I've now probably caught maybe a half dozen, so I'm relatively new to it. And I've seen it even happen during the daylight too. I've seen videos online, and even one of our members, Gene Hammond,
oh, that's right.
has caught multiple snook doing that, and he just uses a paddle tail. So really cool. It's just neat, like, right? It's like I would have never thought that would be possible. And then on some of the comment feeds, I posted a video. So in one case, I had my camera in one hand, right? In fact, I'm not casting. I'd had my camera in one hand doing this right here, and caught one. And so I posted online, and some guys were talking about how they've done that for tarpon under bridges.
Really?
That would be pretty cool, like with giant cane poles. Apparently, people used to do that back in the day down like in Inglewood.
Hey.
And could you imagine a tarpon hitting that right at the rod tip? That'd be insane.
Good way to snap a rod. That's crazy. All right, I'm going way up there.
So pretty cool. And what one thing that we might need to move, because this shoreline is actually fairly deep around here, and it seems like the strikes we were getting were up on shallower little points. So I'm almost wondering if we're a little bit too deep out here. Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Oh, my swishing must have
Power Prawn catches everything.
Part of doing these things live is that you see the good, the bad, the ugly. I had what would have normally been an amazing cast with the weedless lure end up with hook in the mangrove.
Well, let's go see if we see any fish up here while we're up blowing the spot out.
So one thing to this is going to happen when you're getting mangroves, so just make sure that all the rods are out of the way. Try to minimize damage.
All right, so we got wind blowing us in.
Whoa. Yeah, got a little too close to the bush and then turned it full speed in the wrong direction. Hardly noticeable.
All right, other rods are all good.
So that's a good way to guarantee that you spook every fish around too. The one bad thing about tillers, that every once in a while can get out of hand.
Camera guy's laughing. You want to hold the rod or anything?
Nope.
Watch the front. Oh, this is.
There we are. Simple as that.
Whew. That was good stuff.
Oh,
that was good stuff.
Oh, come on, get off there.
Let me use my strong hand. Still stuck. You guys are listening? Oh, this is great. You guys have to watch this.
All right, Joe, how about give me a little help? Make yourself useful for once.
Man, it is really wrapped around there. There we go.
Yeah, mangroves are incredibly good at getting and holding on to lures.
All right. I think we're good now.
Yeah, and one trick too when fishing the windy side, especially if it's really windy, is to use the if you have a power pole, just use a power pole, and that way you can basically pin yourself down, and that way you're guaranteed to not get jammed into the trees like we just did. Before I make another cast, I'm gonna for getting under trees, very important is to dig that hook point into the soft plastic. Had I done that, we would have not had that issue.
What's that over there?
Something on the bottom. All right, now I got to make up for that. The rule is you have to catch more fish than mangrove trees. So right now, I'm fishing on credit.
It's too funny. Too funny there, Bab. So, you are loving that BGMQ, huh? You knew.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with this thing. I still like the Fuego. I mean, for $100, the Fuego is amazing. But if like a $200 reel purchase is in the budget, this MQ has definitely been the best, my most impressed reel that's in like anything less than like $250.
Yeah.
And it's actually under 100. I think the MSRP is like 199.
Yeah, they're smooth.
It is super smooth. And I've had this one for a while now, and I've been abusing it. I've been purposely not being very good to it. Obviously not like dunking it on purpose or doing bad things to it, but I'm not doing anything special. I just get it back and just hose it off, which is really not the best thing to do. The best way to keep a reel in good condition is actually just like do a light mist of water, of fresh water, and then wipe it off with a towel immediately. So I don't do that. I just been getting the hose and spraying it down, and then just letting the air eventually dry it off. And this thing is just as smooth as the first day. And even just fighting the fish, it's rock solid. Like I had a really cool snook catch with even with Otis on board. It was like a 32, 33 inch snook. Had me up under a dock, and the drag was really smooth. It enabled my line to not break, and ended up landing that fish.
Yeah, pretty much the whole team ended up buying one because we couldn't get Fuegos. I mean, Fuegos have been our go-to forever, and we still love the Fuegos. Definitely, I mean, the best value in that $100 range. But we're like, we'll use BGMQ at least till we get Fuegos. And now we're like, man, really love these BGMQs.
Yeah, and they're new, so they're lesser known, and the BG name is very well known, and the BGs in general are usually in like the $100 range or so. And so I think a misconception is that it's the same thing, and they're really not the same at all, except for the BG is in the name. Because the original BG, the BG stands for black and gold, and the current BG MQs, that stands for big game. So it's a whole different series. They're obviously not black and gold. This is black and silver. And but most importantly, they have the MQ technology, which basically helps keep water out of the reel. So this is like basically like one. I'm not a technical guy, but this is basically one big plate, and everything around here is all sealed. A lot of the water intrusion and the water intrusion that does the most damage comes in from around this area, like around where the handle is coming into the reel. It's not really from the top. All reels have pretty good protection of water seeping in through the drag system. So down here in the reel handle section is where a lot of the damage happens, and this MQ technology significantly helps just keep the gears protected. And they have little rubber gaskets and around all the major points. And it's surprising how a lot of reels in that $200 to $300 range don't have all that.
Oh,
and
that cast.
So for that reason, these BGMQs are just, in my opinion, like I still call it a premium reel because it is still kind of expensive. Anything $200 is more than I normally pay for reels. But so far I've been really happy with this, especially when a lot of the reels that I used to buy, and won't say the name, but it rhymes with Shimano, is that like those CI4s. I know they don't make CI4s anymore, but after just maybe 3, 4, 5 months of fishing pretty hard,
Yes.
I just hear that really loud squeaking, and it's those bearings. They just seem to not last as nearly as long as these guys have lasted.
All right.
But that could have changed. That was like 6 years ago.
Coming up to a bit of a point here. I'll put this back in. Yeah, we're coming up to a little opening.
Ooh, I had something.
Oh God!
Something just tapped me.
I'm back to back in the trees. Let's see if I can get out of this one.
Yeah, and so a trick on getting out of trees, and Joe's doing it, is to not yank it really hard.
Look at that. Finesse.
When you have the soft plastics weedless, the worst thing you can do is yank it really hard, because then you're actually setting the hook and guaranteeing that the hook point's going to be exposed. Whereas just doing the light little taps like he was doing does the best job at getting those getting the lure out without getting snagged.
You got to get used to casting the wind. It's crazy, even how light little lure, like a Slam Shitty 2.0 on a underhook, how much it flies when the wind catches it. All right, where are those fish?
How few we started catching. We started the morning with the wind protected side. We saw a good amount of fish. They're all super spooky, and then we hopped on the windy side and immediately started getting strikes. And now we're a bit of a dry spell.
Wind is picking up.
Wind is definitely picking up.
Whoa.
Oh, a bunch of jacks.
Zoom in on that, Joel.
Yeah, they're coming in on me. Look right down below us.
See, they'll keep coming up.
Let's actually get a topwater. That'd be pretty fun.
Oh, look. You see it coming? Dude, they're like speeding.
Let's see if we can get a topwater on.
They're coming up crazy fast.
Good thing about jacks is they're an aggressive fish. Joe, if you can be in charge of the trolling motor. So even the jacks aren't even aggressive enough to get on top. Well, we tried. All right, Joe.
Well, I don't have enough weight up here.
You go the other way. Other way. Left.
Oh, I was gonna go this way.
Nope.
Oh, I see a boat there. Sorry.
Other left.
Now I get the jacks.
Well, we at least had some.
Did you get one to come up? I didn't even see.
No, yeah, they weren't that aggressive. They're all about that swiping of that power prawn.
Yeah, that was crazy. Super aggressive. All right, so we're gonna keep going up here in the wind.
Yeah, there's a nice little cove up here that's worth a shot.
All right.
I was here a few weeks ago, and there's some big snook up in there.
Whoa! Man, you see what that wind does? All right, baby. Yeah, I wonder why Daiwa did that with the BG.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's because that was a confusing point. Oh, it's a new BG, and like actually, it's very different.
Naming is so important. That's why we spend time like on.
But the good news is the fact that it's new and not as many people know about it yet. It's actually one of the few reels that you can actually get.
It's true.
Because although the supply chain is better than it was this time last year, it's been very difficult to get gear. And even the reviews, like we've had these in stock for a while. I'll say just like everything that comes and goes in stock, but the reviews on it, we haven't had a single issue that I can remember we've gone through a bunch of these. It's shocking how good the response has been on this reel. A lot of times I'm a little bit skeptical on like a new reel coming out that it's not gonna be very good. You're gonna have some oversight in the development of it, but I've been nothing but impressed.
Come on, baby. All right, so here, hitting this point. Oh, here comes someone else.
Different boat now. A lot of people violating the rules.
Unbelievable. Must have a different measurement of idle. Must be European metric system.
All right, this
Frustrating.
This area should be holding some fish.
Yeah, it looks money. Getting right up in there. All right, so you got the power prawn still?
You know it.
And I got the Slam Shady 2.0. If you're listening, we're here in Tampa Bay area, and we're just focusing in on these mangrove points for the most part. Wind is cranking. Tide's not doing too much. Now that was a good cast. That deserves a strike. Oh, just like that one does. Just gonna cruise it down. I think I see a couple little snook back there where you were, no?
Yeah, I think they're just logs. I saw the same thing. They didn't flinch when I took the lure next to them.
Plays tricks with your eyes. Like being in a desert.
Yeah, the big thing too, fishing these mangroves, is to keep the cast low. This isn't. Ooh, there's a good redfish
that's
right
a
there.
big red, dude. You're gonna be right in front of him.
Let's see if he eats it. I can't see where my lure is compared to
you just spooked him.
Did my line hit him? Dang, I think my line might have hit him.
Oh man,
that was
a
nice red.
Mondo red.
So that was actually holding about 5 feet off the trees. But when you are fishing these trees, it's very smart to keep the rod low. As you'll see, we're not doing many overhand casts. That way we can just punch these lures. Oh man, I just had something. That way we can punch these lures up under the trees.
Of course, I just did overhand cast, but
yeah, but you're casting across a point there. Anytime you're trying to cast to the edge of mangroves, or especially up under, it is essential to have that lure to have a low trajectory.
Dude, I wish you would have got that red, man. That was a big one.
That was a nice one.
Jeez. All right, I'm gonna go back here in this little creek.
It is funny how the Power Prawn USA, especially this bigger one, I've still yet to catch an underslot red with it.
Huh.
And most of my catches have been either upper slots or even over.
Yeah, it does seem to catch bigger fish. You know, so some people catch this pretty big flounder. What was that?
Dang, that was a giant snook.
You serious?
Yeah.
Like a shark.
That was a really big snook.
Oh, man.
So we've got some fish around.
Some big fish back here. All right, we found the 90-10s in. Now we got to catch one. We're in this little mangrove cove now, basically. And lots of irregular patterns and shapes, nooks and crannies, if you're into that kind of stuff. All right, I'm going over. Yep. Use the wind to my advantage that time. And it's a little bit deeper here. What do you think, 3.5?
Yeah, this is on the deeper spectrum than what I generally fish around here.
This has seen some big fish.
This has a little bit less wind exposure. Seems like they're liking that.
I want to get one of those big reds. That's what make me happy. Oh yeah. That would make me happy. Yeah, so also unrelated, funny story. My daughter and I discovered a massive yellow jacket nest. When I say massive, I'm talking about thousands of yellow jackets. And she saw a video of this guy called the Hornet King, great YouTube channel, by the way. He literally just goes and basically exterminates monster yellow jacket and hornet and wasp nests. And he did one where it was an underground yellow jacket nest. And you actually get like the comb, not like a honeycomb, but the comb that has all the babies in it. It's massive. I mean, 7 stories. It's the size of a couple basketballs. She's like, we got to do it. We got to do it. I was like, oh, this is crazy. What could go wrong, right? So we bought the cheap version of the bee suit and put some thick gloves on and boots. And we went to town on this thing. And you actually use a vacuum, use a shop vac. And the scariest part was just going up. Cause like you see them, they're swarming around their little hole, and it's a hole, and you can't see how deep it is. You don't really know what's under it. You just know there's a ton of them in there because you can see them, you can hear them. It's like an energy to them. And man, that was one of the scariest things, just seeing these things swarming around you, because your instincts are telling you that, it's time to run. And you feel like they're in your hood because they're so loud all over your ears, in your face, and they're just stinging you. They're trying to sting you to death. I'm probably stung 300, maybe 400 times. I only, felt 5 of them, only 5 of them connected. Lucky me. So we did it. But just like fishing, it's all about creating the memories, It's like, you know what? My daughter will talk about this forever. Dad gets stung. Save the day. Say all the neighbors are happy that we destroyed this monster nest.
Yeah, I was shocked how big that thing was.
That's crazy.
It was literally bigger than a basketball.
Oh, much bigger. So this was, we measured it. So it was 24 inches in circumference.
Wow.
And a little over 2 feet deep.
That's crazy.
So it looked like it was about 7 layers, and I ended up destroying it by accident.
It's got to be pretty fragile, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically made out of paper, and what these things do is they go excavate, so they have different types of workers in their little colony, and there's some that are actually like excavating and basically taking the sand out one little grain at a time, just like ants, and the other ones are going and getting paper essentially from bark, from trees and branches. And they're building this home essentially almost like out of paper mache. It's wild. And they get huge. If you Google it, ooh, they get huge. So yeah, it was funny. It's a couple of neighbors were walking by and we're sitting there, and they look like hazmat suits, and we're all got duct tape around because your most vulnerable parts are your legs, your ankles, and your wrists. So we're completely duct taped up in white bee suits, and people are like, what is going on? They probably thought we were like COVID relief. That's what we look like. Ooh. Another funny one, we got back from the Bahamas not too long ago, and you have to get tested. I won't mention the name of the place, but you have to get tested to get home. And we had heard that essentially these big hotels don't want any negative publicity about someone having COVID in their resort, which makes sense because then people cancel their trips and freak out. And so we told they were basically paid to give negative test results. And no lie, I watched this happen. My wife, I'm sitting there, I'm next, she's up, they do the swab, and I'm 7 feet away from her. And in between her getting the swab and literally they swab, they got done, it's a assembly line, she already had the email from them saying that she was negative. meaning they didn't test it at all. And same with me. So I was like, this is crazy. Gives you a lot of hope for our medical testing facilities. But it really was wild and kind of sad that they actually, I don't even know why they did it. Like, why not just wait an hour? But they emailed her a negative test before she even had a chance to walk 7 feet.
So misprogrammed their autoresponder.
Yeah, the autoresponder went off a little too quick.
All right, well, I think we need to bail. This is clearly not working. We need to find some shallower water, I think. I feel like the ones we've been seeing have been a little bit shallower in this. So let's go put the big motor down and putts around until we can find some more action.
All right. Well, we'll end it here. We'll just call this one a what to do on a tough day, and Luke and Joe chatting about life. Liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Something shot out. It's probably a sheep's head. Sheepy? Trees there?
Yep, not every trip you're going to crush the fish, but it's always worth a try. You never know.
Kind of a bum way to start our very first live trip again, but you know what?
It's proof that they're real.
Yeah, we always said that last year when we were doing these is you get to see what really happens. Some days are tough. Windier than we thought it was going to be. Started the day off on the wrong foot. Both of us forgetting our sunglasses. First time I've never forgot mine. And we both forgot them. I'm like, oh man, I forgot them. Luke's kind of like giggling. He's like, holy smokes, I forgot mine too. I'm like, oh.
It's just not our day. Not our day.
Yep. But definitely saw fish. We found a couple little 90-10 zones, and it's still early. It's only 9:15. So we still got another hour or so that we're going to go fish, and maybe we'll do a second podcast if we really find some feeders. But for now, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't checked out the Daiwa BGMQ, it's there at Fish Strong. Same with the Power Pond USA. Same with Slam Shaded 2.0. We have them. The 100 packs are back now. Finally, we were running low on those things, and finally got a big order in. And in rods, we'll definitely keep you posted on these mud hole rods coming in. And as I said, the goal is that we're going to be able to give it $100 off to our members, which is going to be really, really awesome. And then finally, some really cool improvements to our Smart Fishing Tide software. We've hired a couple of different developers, and you're going to see essentially a whole new layer on sonar and on our satellite maps, and even tying in the wind with Windy, doing a little partnership with Windy app. So we're going to have all of that tied in to our little progressive app, which we're really, really pumped about. So you can find that at smartfishingtides.com. It's members only. And of course, if you're a member, you can be in the community and click on Tides, and definitely click on the map too. I've seen a lot of members who are saying, hey, I'm in this area, where do I find the fishing reports? When you're in community.saltshore.com, there's a little, depending on if you're on mobile or a tablet or whatever, but look for a thing that says map. It's in every drop down. It's even in the bottom right on every mobile phone, I believe. And when you click map, you can now zoom in anywhere and actually see every single fishing report, and it breaks it down if it's an on-the-water report like this, or if it's a spot dissection, or if it's a member report. Super, super helpful, and I think you'll be blown away when you see how many pins. Every one of those pins that you see when you click map is one of those three things, and they're color labeled by color. So, man, the wind is cranking, isn't it?
Yep, there's that wind.
Yep. So, guys, we appreciate you big time. And we'll talk to you on the next episode. We'll be doing many more of these live versions. And we're just going to go on record here and say this is going to be the slowest one. We wanted to start off slow.
It's hard to get much slower than this one.
Yeah. It was, one fish in 30 minutes? But then again, that's part of life sometimes. You got to pivot, and now we know what not to do, and we'll go try a whole new area, and we'll report back on the Insider Club. So, guys, appreciate you. We out. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you like to see in terms of any specific topics, etc. We out. Peace in the Middle East.
See you.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. was pain.